The Battle of Curupayty was a key battle in the Paraguayan War. On the morning of September 22, 1866, the joint force of Brazilian, Argentine, and Uruguayan armies attacked Paraguayan fortified trenches on Curupaity. The Paraguayans were led by General José E.Díaz. This position was held by 5,000 men and 49 cannons, some of them in hidden places out of the attackers' view. The Brazilian navy gave support to the 20,000 assailants, but the ships had to keep some distance from the guns at the fortress of Curupaity, which led to the lack of accuracy and impact of the ships' fire. The Navy's failure was crucial at the later ground battle result. The Paraguayans were also successful in misleading the foes. A trench drew most of the Brazilian fire, but the Paraguayan troops were located elsewhere. Around 20% of the almost 20,000 Allied troops involved in the attack were lost. Paraguay lost less than 100 men. The utter failure resulted in the change of the Allied command. Paraguay's biggest success in the ultimately disastrous war was limited because its military leader Francisco Solano Lopez did not counterattack the defeated Allies. Not even a general as celebrated as Diaz would attack without Lopez's orders. Ultimately, the Battle of Curupayty was merely a side note and temporary success in what would eventually become a near extermination of the Paraguayan people. Naval bombardment. The 22nd of September attack started with a bombardment by Admiral Joaquim Marques Lisboa, Marquis of Tamandarré's fleet at 7 o'clock, which lasted until noon, but with little effect. Participating in the attack were the ships Brazil, Barroso, Tamandaré, Ipiranga, Belmont, Parnaíba, Pedro Afonso, Forte de Coimbra, and the gunboats No. 1, 2, and 3. Despite the firing of 5,000 bombs and shells, only one Paraguayan gun was damaged. Allied land attack. Bartolomé Mitre warned that the Imperial fleet had finished his cannonade, and assuming that the Paraguayan positions were to be destroyed, he ordered the advance. The right wing was composed of 2 columns of Argentinians, under the command of Gen. Emilio Mitre and Gen. Wenceslao Panaro. The left wing was composed of 2 columns of Brazilians under the command of Gen. Albino de Carvalho and Col. Augusto Caldas. The center Brazilians were commanded by Col. Lucas de Lima. Gen. Polidoro Jordão was to attack the Paraguayan defenses at Paso Gomez, along the Estero Rojas, with 20,000 Brazilians. Gen. Venancio Flores was to take a cavalry force in a flanking movement against the Paraguayans on the Allied right. Once the Allied soldiers had crossed 2 ditches, and were reaching the top of the wall, they were within reach of the Paraguayan artillery. Diaz ordered the artillery to fire with grape, canister, and shell shot. This inflicted heavy casualties amongst the Allied troops, who were slowly advancing in dense formations through the muddy terrain. Allied soldiers could not get close to the wall of the Paraguayan fort, with only 60 making it, who were soon killed. By 1400, the attack was abandoned, and by 1700, the Allied army was back in Curaçao. Aftermath. The Allied offensive was halted for 10 months, until July 1867. Cholera epidemic struck the area in March 1866 and September 1867. Open revolt against the war started in Argentina by January 1867, forcing President Mitre to send the Army of Pacification of 4,000 under Pionero's command. Disturbances in Uruguay forced the recall of Gen. Flores, who was subsequently assassinated.